Hi, today I'm going to make some body butter. And the reason I started making this is because of our allergies that both my son and I have. My dermatologist and allergist recommended getting something called Vanicream. They recommended this product because even though it's made with just all artificial ingredients, all basically chemicals, none of them seem to be an allergen. And so at the beginning, when my son's eczema flared up, I used the product. And I really wanted to get back to something really natural and organic and something that I felt good about putting on his body. So I went to Whole Foods and I got this, it was little, like probably like this large, and it was some sort of salve, and it was really healing and nice. But that tiny bit of salve cost $15, maybe even $20. And we went through it so quickly in a week. So it wasn't efficient for us to go ahead and buy that at the store. It was better for me to make it at home. And what I noticed is the primary ingredient in that salve was really olive oil and then beeswax. And buying organic olive oil is pretty affordable. And I procure my beeswax at local farmers market. I get a bag about this big, and this is 8 ounces of wax, and it cost me $6. It's great because this is from beehives that are all very local to us, and the beehives are local and everything is treated organically, and I have a really good, nice product. The problem that I've seen with beeswax, not too much this one, sometimes there is a little bit of soil or dirt that you can kind of see on these edges right here. And there could even be little particles, little legs or antennas of bees. So you do want to clean this out. One way to do that is to melt all your beeswax and then to go ahead and filter it. I've been doing just a really, really easy method, which is taking my beeswax, taking something that's got some dirt on it, and then using a serrated knife and just sort of scraping it all off. And then I see if the underneath layer looks pretty good. And this beeswax I've been getting at the farmer's market at Plumber Park is pretty nice, and none of it doesn't seem to have any sort of dirt or sediments or materials outside the first layer, the very top of that beeswax. So scraping it off really does work. So the way I make this, it's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 ingredients. 4 ingredients, and it takes about 15 minutes to make. And I have to melt down my ingredients in a double boiler. And I don't have a fancy double boiler. All I have is, if you see behind me in the stove, is that pot right there. And I've got water, and it's boiling away. And I'm going to use a Pyrex measuring cup because it's easy to remove this with a handle out of my water without burning myself. I was using just a regular Pyrex bowl, and the problem I had is I had a really difficult time removing it, and I actually ended up spilling a lot of my melted down oils and beeswax, and I lost a lot of product. So I went ahead and I purchased a Pyrex measuring cup, and it works much better. So in here I've got 1 cup of oil. You can use a blend of olive oil or jojoba oil, grapeseed, anything, any sort of oils that suits you. Olive oil seems to be the best for my family. They just do well with it. So I used 1 full cup of olive oil. And to that, I'm going to add about 1/8 of a cup of beeswax, and that is also 1 ounce. And the way I measure my beeswax, because I think it is really difficult to measure beeswax in any sort of cup. I'm using cups because you can't really fit that beeswax into a cup. It's so hard, and it's hard to get it to be precise. So I have a handy dandy kitchen scale, and this is great because I can do it just by weight, and I can measure out exactly 1 ounce. And what I do is sort of just break off pieces of my beeswax. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of shea butter. I've got the shea butter here, and I was able to procure about 5 pounds of shea butter for maybe 20 or 25 bucks. And what I've noticed is that anytime I buy anything with shea butter or beeswax or anything that says it's organic, lotions or creams, they end up being really expensive. And I think that that's one of those things that if you do it at home, it really takes minimal effort and it's so incredibly cost effective. You really save money and you know exactly what's going on your body and what your skin is absorbing. So in here, just to recap, got 1 cup of oil. I'm using olive oil. I have 1 ounce or 1/8 of a cup of solid beeswax, and I have 2 tablespoons of shea butter. And all I'm going to do is put this in my pot of hot water, bring down the temperature on my burner from high to about medium. So I have a nice rolling boil, and I'm just going to watch this because beeswax is flammable, so I don't recommend walking away. And I think in about 15 minutes, this will completely melt. There won't be any beeswax or shea butter. It will all really melt down, and it will look just like oil. And at that point, I'll remove this from my double boiler, and I'm going to add a vitamin E capsule. The vitamin E is great because even though I don't think it's technically a preservative, it does extend the shelf life. And I think that this body butter will be good for about 6 weeks or so. I can also add essential oils. I've got, let's see, I've got some lavender essential oil, and I may add that, I may not. Sometimes I really like unscented products, but lavender is really nice because it's very soothing for eczema. And the other reason I use beeswax is it's an antimicrobial. So if you have little cuts on your skin because you itch too much, a lot of times my son will itch and his skin is just sort of chafed right around here or a little raw, a little bit cut up. And I notice the next day his skin does seem much more healed, and that's great. So I'm going to be right back after I melt down my beeswax and shea butter and my olive oil, and I'll be back in about 15 minutes. Okay, my beeswax and shea butter melted, and it just looks like oil. You'll know when it's done because it's absolutely in a liquid form. And this took about 10 minutes, and it might take you 15 minutes if you didn't already have your water going and at a boil. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze 1 vitamin E capsule, and this is just going to extend the shelf life of the product. I'm just going to go ahead and mix it up. I'm thinking no scents for this one. And I buy these little sort of canning jars. And I got this one, I think at Ace Hardware, and I might have gotten these larger, sort of prettier ones, either at the grocery store or maybe at Target, I can't remember, but they're pretty affordable, and I just reuse them. And if I didn't have this on hand, I would probably use an old jelly jar. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this in. And it's really important to use impeccably clean hands and to make sure all of your tools are clean, because this is going to be sitting around for a while and you don't want any weird bugs. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour this. And this part's going to be a gift for a friend who is having a baby. And I just wanted something really gentle for both mama and baby. And that's the other reason I'm using no scents. And I'm going to fill up the rest in here for myself. Oh, I have a lot. I'm going to top off hers. Okay. As soon as this cools, I will be back to show you the texture of it. But hopefully it's going to be nice and creamy and easy to apply. I made a batch earlier today and I had my ratios wrong, and I ended up with something that's more like a lip balm. So fingers crossed that I can read my own handwriting and my recipe is correct. So I'll be back in just a moment. So this came out well and I'm so happy. This is what it looks like. And it's cooled down. And if you want to make it really cute and you're giving this as a gift, you can take a toothpick and make a little heart. And this would be a great, wonderful gift. And I want to just show you how nice and soft this is. easy can scoop it. And it's really soft. I really like this ratio of oil to beeswax. I feel like the oil is nice and moisturizing, and just enough beeswax to sort of firm it up and provide a barrier. And I am so cheap about things that instead of washing this, because when you have beeswax in anything, it's really hard to wash off. Even with soap and scrubbies, it's hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the remainder of this and use it as my own personal lotion today, and then I'll go ahead and wash this. And that's what I recommend. Take your tools that have any of this wonderful body butter remained on it, or this nice coat of beeswax, and just rub it all over yourself and go ahead and use it up. And Tiffany, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry that I came over today and I brought over what I thought was body butter, but it was really very, very hard lotion bar and not what I was going for. And so I will be bringing you over a new batch of body butter that is going to be nice and soft for your skin and your babies.